watched it alone in theaters because when I worked at Regal, I got free tickets, and it was just like too much work to try and coordinate schedules with somebody. So I just went after work one day, after a shift, and watched it by myself. And there was only two other people in that theater that were together, and I was just like sitting behind them. But yeah, this movie is so good. It's a tennis, is that what it's called? Yeah, a tennis movie, and it's kind of jumps back and forth between timelines. So it's them in like their college age, and then it jumps to them I think like 10 years later, I want to say. But yeah, it's so good. I absolutely loved it so much. Like, the feeling that I had watching that in the theater was like, I had so much adrenaline rushing through me. I think part of the reason was the soundtrack. And just like the cinematography of that movie, it like makes your heart start like racing too. Like, it really pumps up your adrenaline, like during the matches and stuff. And there's like so much tension, between all of the characters and stuff and everything. So, but I really enjoyed that one. I think I gave it like a full 5 stars on my Letterboxd. But yeah. Oh, a lot of people are asking for my Letterboxd. It's Lizzie with an I-E L-L-I-C-C-I-E-N-O-O-K. It's Lizzie Nook. But I will say, I'm kind of like new-ish to Letterboxd. Like, I'm trying to use it more and trying to learn like all the things that you can do on Letterboxd. So I don't really have any reviews written or anything. I just like log movies that I watch, and then I like give them a rating. But I didn't even know that you could do half stars either, so like until very recently. So it's not gonna be that interesting. Sorry to burst your bubble. But yeah. Then next we have The Substance. The Substance I did not watch in theaters. I really wanted to watch it in theaters, but I just didn't get the chance, so I watched it after it came out on streaming. And again, absolutely loved it. The soundtrack was so good. Some of it is kind of similar to Challengers, I think, because it's the same genre of music. Not the story, obviously. Obviously not, but the music, I think, is the same genre, and it has Demi Moore and Margaret Qualley, who I love. I think she's so beautiful, and they both played their parts so amazing. And there's a lot of, if you're gonna watch it, there is a lot of like body horror, but it's honestly not that bad, at least not to me. Like, I've seen way worse, and it makes sense for like the movie. It's not just like body horror to be body horror, you know what I mean? So, and what I think about with that movie is I think of I know Dennis Quaid, I think is the name. The shots, like, they make him look so much more disgusting with like the shots that they do of him while he speaks and eats and everything. It like zooms in on him like smacking on his shrimp, and like, it's fucking disgusting. But like, they really make you very uneasy the entire film with the way that they shoot things and the like the Foley sounds. And yeah, I thought it was really good. I know some people didn't really like it, but you just didn't get it if you didn't like it, okay? Wicked. This is in no specific order of how I watched them either, by the way. Wicked Part 1. Again, I absolutely love loved Wicked, obviously. I love musicals, and I thought Ariana Grande was great as Glinda. I kind of went into it kind of scared almost of, like, I've seen her act before, but I was kind of like, is she gonna do it justice for me personally? I don't know. So I was kind of like, but I honestly loved it, and her comedic acting was so well done. And Cynthia, of course, was great as Elphaba, and their voices are, of course, just insane. And their chemistry is really good. And afterwards, also, they like recently, after they released like the digital copy of Wicked, they obviously released like deleted scenes as well. And tell me why they deleted like so many scenes that would add like friendship development and show how close Elphaba and Glinda have gotten. Like, they deleted a bunch of those scenes, and I'm like, girl, I don't care how long the movie has to be, like, those should have been in the movie. Like, what the fuck? So that was really annoying. But because also, like, they kind of jump a lot. Like, they hate each other, and then they like make up, or like they become friends at like the Oz Dust Ball, right? And then all of a sudden they're just best friends, and there's like barely any scenes showing that, really. And then they're going to see the wizard together, and then they're being separated. You know what I mean? Like, there should have been more scenes showing their friendship, you know, and how Glinda grew to care for her, etc. They just didn't have enough of that, I feel. And those deleted scenes would have helped that, you know. But you know, otherwise it was great. Inside Out 2, this is actually a really good sequel. This is one of those cases where the sequel was, a lot of people said, better than the first, but I don't think it was better than the first. It was good for sure. It was a good sweet sequel. But to me, like, it was definitely not better than the first one. The first one was so good. And I think maybe because it was more, what's the word, like, emotional to watch, I guess, the first one, because what you're kind of seeing Riley experience in the first one is, like, depression, and how she, like, shuts off all of her emotions and kind of becomes, like, an empty shell of herself and starts doing out-of-character things. And then the second movie, she's dealing mostly with her new emotions because she's going through puberty, and she's dealing with anxiety for the first time. Which they also kind of, I don't know, to me also anxiety, the characterization of anxiety is very similar to fear, because fear is part of anxiety, right? So it's kind of like almost weird to have them both, because fear already basically is anxiety with what he like says and how he acts about certain situations that have come up in the first movie and the second movie. It's like anxiety, so it's kind of, I don't know, it was kind of like two of the same character to me. But yeah, I still thought it was really good though. Then I watched Time Cut. Time Cut, I've already voiced my opinions on this channel about Time Cut. Basically it was like a not as well done version of Totally Killer, because it was the same kind of thing, almost exactly, to be honest. But Time Cut is about this girl whose sister got murdered before she was born. And so, like, she's kind of been living under her sister's shadow her whole life, basically. And her friend is working on a science project, which happens to be a time machine. And she machine, and she accidentally time travels back in time to the early 2000s. Now, my main gripe with this movie is that the way that they portrayed the early 2000s is so, like, not necessarily inaccurate, but it's, like, not realistic at all, and which is really annoying because it wasn't that long ago. Like, there's no way that you couldn't have gotten, like, real clothes from that time period or something, you know? Like, it was so, it just really bothered me, like, the hairstyles, and, like, it was very much like they were trying to fit in as much of the early 2000s in this one little scene as possible. Like, all of these kids in the hallway on their little flip phones with their fucking puka shells and stuff, and, like, it was too much. It was stupid, but, you know, whatever, it's okay. And also, it was, like, meshing the earlier 2000s with, like, the 2010s in terms of, like, fashion and trends, and I was like, okay, I guess. And then her sister is supposed to be, like, the popular girl in school, and I was like, what the fuck is she wearing? Like, I thought she's supposed to be the main popular girl in the school, and, like, it was just not giving, okay? It was, yeah. And then Totally Killer was another movie that I watched, which had Kiernan Shipka, and she, in this one, her mother's friends got murdered when she was in high school, and the killer was never caught. And in present day, her mom ends up getting killed by this murderer because the murderer comes back and starts killing people again. And her mom gets murdered. And she basically, her friend is doing a science project, which is a time machine. And she is getting chased by the killer, and she, like, goes and hides in this time machine, which is a photo booth that was converted into a time machine. And the killer stabs the thing, because the time machine wasn't working before, but the killer, like, stabs the time machine by accident, and she time travels back to the 1980s. And in this one, I think that they did the fashion and makeup and hair and everything really well, which with the 1980s, it could really either be, like, super fucking over the top stupid, like, not accurate, or it can be really accurate and pretty good. And I thought it was on the pretty good side, for sure. And yeah, and then she's just trying to, like, stop the killer from killing people, because she time travels to right before anybody gets killed, so she knows what's gonna happen and where it's supposed to happen. But her being present, like, changes history a bit, so, like, things that weren't supposed to happen start happening, so she doesn't really know the future anymore. So that one was really fun and good. Next is Uglies. Now, this was based on a book. This is a movie that was released on Netflix, I want to say. And as Joey King and the guy from Outer Banks, I think his name is Chase Stokes, I want to say. It was absolutely horrible. It had some potential, but it was so, like, it was also just so boring. I was like, like, girl, please. Uglies was one of those books that I think it was, okay, so basically, in the early 2010s / right before the 2010s, there was a popular streak of, what are those books called? Dystopian novels. Uglies was one of them. And there was a lot, actually, now that I think about it. It was really a time to be alive. All these dystopian stories. But it didn't get adapted, obviously, until more recently. And it just was not it. It just... The acting was questionable. The dialogue was questionable. And they, okay, so basically, there's like, okay, sorry, there's like this group, okay, fuck, I can't speak, I can't think of how to explain this. Okay, so basically everybody is born ugly, right? Which is just like normal, so it'd just be like, your normal face, you're ugly, you're one of the uglies, and you live in like this outer ring, I guess, outside of where like the perfect pretty people live. It's kind of like the Capitol vibes from Hunger Games. So they live in this special ring up here. They have parties all day long. They're all beautiful. They've all had like the pretty perfect surgery, and they all have like cosmetic surgery, so they all kind of look the same. And you can choose like your eye color, your body, like you can choose to get rid of scars. Actually, I don't think you have the choice to choose, but they get rid of all your scars and imperfections, anything that makes you unique, basically, you get rid of. They make your hair perfect. Usually people go blonde for some reason. It's giving Hitler. But yeah, so that's like the pretty people, but everyone's born uglies, and they all wear like ugly gray outfits and have really lame lives, like abnegation fucking vibes. All these dystopian novels can easily be reference each other, to be honest, because they're all kind of similar in a way. But then I think you get to 16 years old or 18 years old, I can't remember exactly what age you have to be, but on that birthday you get to go and become pretty, or if you can choose not to, but it's gonna be like in Divergent, where you like are exiled. You're not allowed to be a part of either group. Anyways, so like that's basically what the first book / first movie, I don't know if they plan on doing more, but that's like what the first movie is about, basically. And the way that they make them look pretty in this movie is like they have this airbrush filter over them. And then they all have like golden eyes and stuff, and they have blonde hair. But like the airbrush filter is so funny because it looks so stupid. Like, I mean, I get why they chose to do that, but it just like looks so like it looks so stupid, especially on Chase Stokes. I'm like, okay, I'm like, he doesn't look like super pretty with the blonde hair on him. Like, makes him look ugly, if anything, but whatever. Yeah, I gave that like, I think like 1.5 stars or 2 stars or something like that, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna kill myself, but also kind of interested, but also not. I was kind of like, what the fuck? Anyway, next is Beetlejuice Beetlejuice. This one I think was a great sequel. Honestly, kind of enjoyed it more than the first, which may be controversial. I think it just had more going on storyline wise, so it was more interesting to watch. And yeah, I love Jenna Ortega, and yeah, it was super fun. Nothing really else to say. It was great watching Michael Keaton reprise his role, and Monica Bellucci's character was really pointless. Like, it was so anticlimactic, by the end, like when she showed up for Beetlejuice, I was like, she just like disappeared immediately, basically, and I was like, okay, that was stupid. But I think the main reason why she was in the film was because she's Tim Burton's girlfriend. I love Monica Bellucci. She's so gorgeous and she's a great actress, but her character was so like pointless. She was basically just there to like be hot, and I was like, you know what? Period. I love watching Monica Bellucci just be beautiful, so fine by me, I guess. Next is Lisa Frankenstein. I didn't watch this in theaters either. I didn't watch it till like the end of the year, actually, and that came out in February around Valentine's Day, or maybe on Valentine's Day, something like that. This one was so fun. Now, I'm not a big fan of Cole Sprouse, but if you've watched the film, like, he doesn't really speak. Actually, he doesn't speak at all until like the very last scene of the movie, so that was a blessing, low-key. I don't know why Cole Sprouse just really like makes me cringe, but since he didn't really speak in this movie, it was fine. It's set in the 1980s. It's super camp, and Catherine Newton plays Lisa. And yeah, after a storm, the gravestone that she's been crushing on, he comes out of the grave and is alive somehow from the lightning from the storm. And she basically, like, they start killing people together to get new parts for him. And yeah, she just goes on a killing spree basically, and it's just really fun and just really dramatic and ridiculous, and I love it. Then Mean Girls, which I honestly forgot that this came out in 2024, because it came out like beginning of January, I think. So it was very early in the year that I forgot it even came out. This is Mean Girls, the musical movie, by the way. Okay. For me, I loved parts of it. I didn't love it as a whole. I loved Renee Rapp. Her voice is great. I loved all of her songs. The girl that plays Katie, I can't remember her name right now. She's Australian. She should not have been Katie. Like, she cannot sing very well, and she has no emotion when singing either. Like, anytime that she would start singing, I was like, oh brother, like, please let this end already. To be honest, like, I'm sorry, but you should not have been the main character of a musical. Like, a side character, sure, but Katie Heron, who is the main character alongside Regina George, like, girl, be for real. I don't know why she got that part. I don't know if it was nepotism or what, but it was like, I don't know, it was so ridiculous. Next is Night Swim. I also forgot that this came out last year. I think it came out in like February, I want to say. But this movie, I think, was the only like horror film that I watched, but it wasn't very scary to me at all. But I think it's classified as horror though. This one, a family moves into a new house that has a pool, and weird shit starts happening in the pool, and there's like a demon attached to the pool. Now, for me, the movie would have been 10 times better if we got to see background on how the fuck this demon got attached to this pool. I mean, they kind of tell us how, because of like the water that it is and stuff like that, but it's like, you could have gave us a little bit of a flashback of like they didn't elaborate. Sorry, I'm congested and my mucus is bubbling. That sounds disgusting, I'm sorry, but it makes me like, it makes it hard to breathe sometimes. I feel like they could have elaborated more on the demon. Like, it was like, I don't know, it just felt unfinished and like only partially written, to be honest. Like they only tell us attached to this pool, and the people that lived here before, the daughter died there. And then you learn, spoiler alert, you learn that the mom knew that and purposefully sacrificed the daughter to this demon to save her son, who was like dying of cancer, because she cared about her son more than her daughter. Because also part of this water demon thing is that it gives, but it takes stuff in return as payment. So like it like heals the baseball player dad or whatever. He has an injury and it starts healing him, but it takes other parts. So like it starts hurting other people, or like it starts making the dad go insane, and he starts becoming like insanely attached to the pool, and it's just like weird shit like that. It was good to a point, and then I was like, meh. I feel like you should have worked on writing this a little bit more, because it has potential to be like good, but it's not. Next is Deadpool versus Wolverine. Or no, not versus, Deadpool and Wolverine, right? Wait. Whatever, Deadpool and Wolverine. I love this film. I love anything Deadpool, to be honest, because he's just so funny. And so it's always great to see him, and then somehow watching him with Wolverine was like great, like a great way to bring back Hugh Jackman as Wolverine without bringing back like the main Wolverine, because the Wolverine from the timeline that we watched in the movies, which I haven't watched all of those actually, so I probably should, the one that we knew is dead, but this is a different timeline Wolverine. But yeah, and it ties in. It's better if you watch it after watching like Loki, at least season 1, because then you know like where the fuck they are and what that means in reference to Loki. Like, you know more about what are they called, the TVA and stuff like that, if you watch Loki season 1 at least. So yeah. Then I watched Dinner in America, which was an indie film that I guess was released a few years ago, but it went viral on TikTok for a minute, and I was like, sure, I'll watch it, because the man in it, I know him from Jennifer's Body, but apparently he's also in Smile. He's one of the main characters in the Smile series. I just know him from Jennifer's Body, but I saw it. The main girl in it is such a weirdo, and like the reason that it went viral was because like this weird ass girl who is just like weird and wears glasses, she's nerdy and like not, I guess, like conventionally like pretty, and which is relative, but like, you know what I mean. And this man just like absolutely is obsessed with her, and it's just like them. It's literally just them. Like, that's what the movie is. It's them meeting each other, hanging out. And he ends up being like the lead singer of this underground like punk rock band that she absolutely loves, and she's been sending him love letters without knowing that it's him the whole time that he's been in jail. Because he's a masked singer, so no one knows what he looks like. So like part of the way through like being with each other this whole time, like they're not like romantically involved yet, but they've been hanging out, and then he finds out first because she shows him the letters and stuff, and he thinks that she's like fucking with him. He's like, how do you know? And but it turns out like he's been in love with whoever has been sending him these amazing letters with poetry and lyrics to songs and stuff like that. And it turns out to have been her this whole time, and then he's like just in love with her, and then he reveals that it's him, and I guess it's the type of characters that those people are, so I guess it makes sense, but I know that bothers some people, so. And then last but not least, I watched My Policeman, which is also based on a book, and it has, I don't know the other actor in it, but it has Harry Styles in it, and I hadn't watched it when it came out because I was like, it's Harry Styles, I'm like, I don't really care to watch it. Like, I am a fan of Harry Styles, but I'm a fan of him singing and his music, not necessarily like, I'm not super obsessed with him as a person. Like, I don't watch his interviews like that. I don't know what he is as a, okay, I'm not like not a fan of him as a person. I just like don't make the effort to look into him as a person, you know what I mean? That's not the type of fan of him that I am. I just listen to his music, you know what I mean? So I just like wasn't really interested in watching it, and then I just was on Amazon Prime Video one day, and I was like, you know what, I feel like watching this today, and I watched it, and honestly it was really good. He did really well. Basically it's a love story in the 1950s, between just a policeman and this man who, Harry Styles plays the policeman, and this man who, I think he works at a museum, and basically they're having a relationship, but Harry Styles' character has like gets into a lavender marriage with, a woman, and at this time there's, I forget what it's called exactly, it's, also something lavender, it's like the lavender hunt or something like that is what it was referred to in history as, but basically they were like hunting down and arresting homosexuals. I think in both in America as well they were doing that. And they were like having people go undercover to catch these people, and at this point too, policemen had quotas that they had to meet every month of the amount of like homosexuals that they were arresting every month and stuff. And so it was like a huge thing that was going on. So a lot of gay men would get into lavender marriages, which is basically like a beard marriage. They marry a woman so that they would be not as under like suspicion, basically. So he gets into this lavender marriage with this woman, and the woman finds out that he is having this relationship with this man, and she ends up, okay, well, this is a spoiler, obviously. I just realized I didn't warn you. I don't know if you want to watch it, but she ends up turning that man in, and he goes to jail, and he doesn't get released until they're like old, and he's like, it's really fucking sad, actually. It's really, really sad. And this whole time too, the policeman didn't know that his wife was the one who turned his lover in and took all those years away from them having each other. It's hard too because you can see it from both points of view. Like, obviously this poor woman thinks that she's in a loving like relationship and marriage with this man, and it turns out that he doesn't love her in that way at all. Maybe he does love her in another way, but he's not like the husband that she thinks that he is, and he's having a relationship with somebody else who is also a man, which is obviously extremely, at the time, extremely looked down upon, and illegal. And like, I don't know, but then at the same time, you could see it from his point of view, where he almost has no other choice to have this relationship with this man if he wants to be with the man that he loves. He has to like disguise himself, and it's like, it's really fucking sad. And it's just really hard because you can see both sides of it. But anyways, it was really good though. And of the new releases this year. There's quite a few that I'm really excited to see that I'm definitely gonna have to see, so I'm sure I'll have more to report on for this year, but yeah, hopefully I watch enough to be like movies I watched in January, movies I watched in February, instead of movies I watched in a whole year. But yeah, same with books. I'm also trying to read more, so hopefully I can do like monthly, what I read this month or whatever and stuff like that. Because I do enjoy content like that a lot. If you also enjoy content like that, I recommend, my favorite is Haley Jean ASMR, which if you like content like that, I'm sure you follow her already. She does a lot of book ASMR content, and it's great, so, but yeah, thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, if you would like more videos from me, I do have a Patreon, which will be linked down below if you wanted to check it out. There's 2 different